Hi, I'm Kathy, here at the Garcia Little Red Schoolhouse in Wickenburg, Arizona. I'm going to give you a tour of the building just as if you were here. This building is called the Garcia Little Red Schoolhouse because Ignacio Garcia donated the land in 1895 specifically for a school. That year they also had donated an old mining shack from Vulture Mine here in Wickenburg. They took it apart there, brought it here on the back of a horse and cart and rebuilt it. And that was the first schoolhouse in Wickenburg. So as you're around town, if you hear about the schoolhouse being moved, that's the one they're talking about. They used that until they outgrew it. In 1905, they had to raise $1,600 to build this building. It was a one-room schoolhouse, of course, 1st through 8th grades, and it's 2 to 3 times larger than they normally were in those days. But they expected to use it forever, and we have, but they outgrew this building by 1927, and they built a 2-story building out in the yard here. That building burned down in 1978. By then it was a middle school campus and they moved it to the west side of town. But this building was part of the school until 1978. Then it became a storage room for a few years, but in 1983 a bank bought it and they refurbished the inside as much as they could, keeping the integrity of the building, but also making it a bank. So they were here for 20 years, and when they left, they donated it to what is now Wickenburg Children's cultural organization. Our main mission is to bring music and the arts to the schools in our area. We do that through various programs to include putting on permanent loan instruments for after-school programs. We have a summer music camp. We have an orchestra, a professional orchestra come up once a year for all of the children in our area. We serve over 1,000 children and teachers at that time. You may have noticed the dunce cap. I'll give you a little history about that. In the 13th century, a philosopher with the middle name Duns, D-U-N-S, really believed that the conical shape would take the ideas out of the air and filter them directly into the brain. And he thought that because wizards wore that shape hat and they were the smartest people around. Here we have a stamp collection, rubber stamps, ink pad. A teacher in the 1920s used this. She taught in a one-room schoolhouse. And if she didn't have more than one student in a class, the school board wouldn't give her books. So she had to write her own books. And here's how she did it. One letter at a time. And then sometimes she would use a picture. Can you imagine writing books like that? Here we have a picture of Raymond Valencia raising the flag over the Little Red Schoolhouse. He was the great-grandfather of Eugene Quesada, who was an artist and went to school here 1st through 8th grades. We also have his memorial flag here, which was donated by his sister, who still lives here in Wickenburg. They are part of the first families that came to Wickenburg. And one thing people can't help but notice is the paddle. It has all the names of the kids that were swatted with it. People often come in who went to school here, or perhaps their families went to school here, and they go through our yearbooks and go through our pictures and often find their family members or themselves. It's a lot of fun. This is Joseph Garcia. He's the grandson of Ignacio Garcia, and he still lives here in town. He's 95 this year. He is opening the building here in 2003 for Wickenburg Children's cultural organization. This picture is unusual. I thought it was people riding their horses to school. You can see the schoolhouse in the background there. But this gentleman came in as an adult, and he told me that was a riding club. And they seldom rode their horses to school because the principal would make them clean up after the horse before they went home. Some of them actually rode their horses to school, sent them back home, and then the parents would send the horse back after them when school was over. This book is Incidents in the Life of Alicia Casada. She's the sister of Eugene that we met earlier. She wrote this book as one of the first families in Wickenburg, and it tells stories from their lives here, even down to making tortillas and tamales and how difficult that was. Here we have school pictures. This one's from 1941. Unfortunately, a lot of them are not dated, and we still are looking for names. You'll see as people come in who went to school here, if they recognize people, I write the names down on the back, and that's how we get any of the names. Okay, we have many artifacts from the old days. These desks are original to the period, 1905, and people from all over the world come in and recognize those desks, so they were everywhere. We also have an old ink jug from this school. The janitor would have to take that huge jug and fill the ink wells at each desk in the mornings. We have books from the period. Many of them were donated by families of the principal that was here, Mr. Wright. Most schoolhouses don't have 2 pianos and musical instruments everywhere, but we do because Wickenburg Children's Cultural Organization offers piano, violin, and viola lessons here at reduced rates or scholarships. This is the original bell from 1905, and it still rings. Nobody leaves the building without ringing it. Here we go. Thanks for joining me in this tour of the Garcia Little Red Schoolhouse in Wickenburg, Arizona. I hope to see you here soon.
Microtrip.com